Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt. The new phone books are here. The new phone books are here. Hot off the presses from AAC, or America's Ammunition Company, not to be confused with Advanced Armament Corporation, which both are owned by the holding company that also owns Palmetto State Armory. In full transparency, Jamin and Josiah over at PSA sent me over some of this 40 grain full metal jacket in 5.7x28mm for us to review. Let's throw this guy on the table and talk about what we're going to do today. Since we love our 5.7x28mm, we have a wide variety of barrel lengths from 4.7 inches all the way up to and including 16. I think for these tests, we'll pick a core group of the barrels that represent the different commonalities, and then we'll have like a part B or a B-roll video that we release in the same day or day after that has all the extras in it so that the video is not too long. It's around 75 to 80 degrees outside today. We have our Prochrono PAL Digital DLX as always. After we've collected our velocity strings, I do believe we're going to check what kind of practical accuracy that we can see from this load, possibly do our gel and shoot this against some soft body armor. I do have around 250 rounds of this, and in the grand scheme of things is only a small dip in the pond for long-term reliability, but this makes, I think, 850 rounds total after I'm done with this test that I've put of the AAC ammunition through our various guns. The only complaints that I really have so far is that their saber slick coating, which is on our brass case to mimic the lacquer polymer coating on the factory FN brass, is a little over applied. It's a little greasy and it comes off your fingers. So if you're out shooting this and you don't want to get your hands dirty, make sure you're wearing gloves or you bring something to wipe off your hands. Up first, we'll grab our shortest barrel length. This is our Palmetto State Armory Rock. This is a very budget-friendly 5.7 gun. I like this one, I think, the most as far as ergonomics go. It fits the hand really well. We've got a very nice sized magazine release, great short reset on the trigger. Glock sights, so if you don't like the factory fixed sights, you've got a wide variety of choices there. This is the second sample that I had. I don't have a lot of rounds to this one, but I've got, I think, 1,500 through the first sample. I need to finish the review on it. Nice, almost 1,700 feet per second. Some of these rounds we do run a control lot of, so we've got the American Eagle and SS-197 that we've ran on the same day, so we can kind of see what that velocity difference is going to be. Now into our next barrel length. This is our Smith & Wesson M&P 5.7. This sports a 5-inch barrel. It actually has a gas operated system. There's a little gas port inside the barrel towards the end, and that barrel is actually inside a sleeve, and there's a little rotating assembly in the back. Pretty darn nifty. We got a Crimson Trace Micro Rad Pro on the back. So far, I only have a couple hundred rounds through this. It's been reliable, but as far as ergonomics go, this is going to be on the bottom for me. There's not a lot of comfortableness, at least for the grip for me. The trigger guard is really small, so if you do shoot with gloves on, it's really hard to get your trigger in there, your finger in there. Magazines are a little difficult to load, but they've gotten better, and you got to really slap them. Well, failure to feed there. Not sure what was up with that one, but it went off without a hitch. I will say this is the softest recoiling and like flattish shooting of the 5.7 handguns. I had a little shorts video when it was kind of hard to see, but if you shoot both of the, like this side by side with the Ruger or the 5.7 or Rock, you can immediately tell a difference that this recoils a little bit softer. And now on to our 5.2-inch barrel. This is our PSA Rock. Got a Holosun 407 up top. This slide is cut for our optics. Got the XS Arms extended magazine faceplate there. Now we're going to get into our PDW PCC barrel lengths. This is our CMMG MK57. This particular model uses their radial delay blowback, but feeds from their proprietary 32 round magazines. You can use any AR-15 lower that you want. Got a primary arms, second focal plane 1 to 6 up top. Pretty good jump in velocity there. And now for the OG that started it all, Mr. Bullpup. This is our FN PS90. This is an SBR 10.4-inch barrel. We're running the Surefire aluminum rollers in our P90 magazine. Be interesting to see how those hold up long term. Got a Holosun AEMS up top, a Surefire Mini Scout Pro on there with some mounts from HB Industries. They were kind enough to send those over for us to evaluate. Very nice quality mounts. Nice, good velocity there. Now onto our 12-inch barrel. This is a Panzer Arms or AR-57. It feeds from our FN PS90 magazines. We got these SureCycle aluminum rollers in there. What's nice about this upper is it's blowback and it works on any AR-15 lower as long as you use their specific buffer. I've actually hollowed out a 30-round PMag. You probably do it better with a 20-rounder, but you can hold about 70 empty cases in there because the brass ejects out of the bottom of your magazine well. Charging handle is on the side. Have a Rise armament trigger in here. Pretty darn good velocity off those, if I do say so myself. And like I said, there's all of our rounds right there. I will say this particular design does stretch the neck or blow the necks out a little more than some of the other guns, kind of like the CMMG MK57, but they do resize very nicely. As far as resizing and reloading any of the AAC brass, I have done it. I will note that you want to use a lanolin oil or a lanolin oil mixture with some alcohol to thin it up a little bit, but they are a little harder in my dies than using the standard FN cases. And now for our longest barrel length in 5.7, this is our Ruger LC carbine. This has a 16-inch barrel. Very nice setup. It's a little on the heavy side, but it's all aluminum. They did come out with a Charger model, which has a shorter barrel length, which I feel is the more ideal barrel length in 5.7, but for those of you that want a 16-inch barrel, this isn't a bad idea. I would say my only complaints on this is the trigger fire control group is pretty much just brought over from the Ruger 5.7, and I despise this trigger in here. Almost 2,200 feet per second. Nice. Here is our AAC 40 grain full metal jacket at 25 yards. We have 3 different guns here. We may shoot a second group because right now I'm just using a little bag rest. This is our MK57 with the 6 power second focal plane scope. Our first group was 1.210 inches. Our second group was 1.478. And then our third group was our best at 0.992. That one would have been an awesome group. Look at how clover leaf that one is. And then I must have pulled that one. I'll have to get the lead sled out. We threw the rock in the same bag with our dot on there, the 5.2 inch 1.880. Then we just did open irons on the Ruger 4.753. That's kind of respective of what Mr. Paul Harrell was getting in his assessment recently of just control lots for accuracy at 25 yards with the Ruger. Now, don't have a dot on there. Maybe we should put a dot on there and see if we can tighten those groups up, but not too bad. We brought the AAC FMJ out with the Ruger LC carbine today. 25 yards using a lead sled and the 18 power first focal plane scope. Our first group was 1.097 inches. Our second group was a little better at 0.735 inches. Then our best group was our suppressed group with our JK Armament rimfire kit at 0.589 inches. I must know how to clip those baffles to get good accuracy out of them. As a comparison, here is SS198 LF at 1.066 inches. Now, in other videos, I've mentioned a point of aim versus impact shift with varying weights and velocities of 5.7, and this is kind of to illustrate that. Our holdover was the same between these two groups, and you can see that we've shifted to the left a little bit. Elevation wise, we're still good, but this was the AAC Full Metal Jacket, the VMAX, and the American Eagle TMJ, all the same holdover as the SS198 LF with no changes, and you can see that shift. It's more pronounced with the shorter barrel lengths. Now let's check our AAC Full Metal Jacket in some gel. I have a 6x6x16 clear ballistics gel block down there. We'll take a shot from each of the common barrel lengths, the 5.2 inch, the 10.4, and the 16 inch. Generally speaking, I don't recommend full metal jackets for self-defense because they tend to penetrate a lot, and with this 40 grain, the bullet's going to be shorter, so when it tumbles, it's not going to create a very wide wound path. Pretty good velocity off that one though. Nice, good velocity. Nice. All right, our wound channel in the foreground right here is the 16 inch, about a 4-inch neck. Then we have one tumble, pretty wide there. Then the second tumble out to about the 11-inch mark. And that one actually dove down and exceeded 16 inches of penetration, and who knows where it is. I'll take another shot off camera to see how far it will go. Then the foreground, or the middle shot right here, the neck is a little bit longer at 5 1/4. That's the SBR. Got our double tumble there. And then our penetration depths are right around all the way out to about 22 inches. This one here was one that actually hit the bottom, and then way back right there is the second shot. Let me go back all the way here. And then this top wound track here is the pistol. Our neck is right around 4 inches. We have that tumble again, and then the second tumble. Major disruption ends around the 11-inch mark, and then all the way out to the 18-inch mark is our final penetration on the pistol. You'll have to forgive these blocks. They are used, and there's a lot of discussion between the validity of our synthetic gel and our organic gel. You usually can just get a general idea of what's going to happen with the bullet. Here is a top-down shot, and this is pretty typical for full metal jackets. You get this yawing or tumbling effect there. I would say in our 5.7, it's a lot more effective with longer bullets like our SS190, but then it can tend to limit our penetration depths. Here are our recovered bullets. Little to no deformation going on there besides the rifling. Off camera, we fired the 16-inch again, center of mass, to try to get one, and we're right around the 22-inch mark. And as you can see, I fired this pretty much center of the block, and because of its willingness to tumble, it tends to go off track after a certain point, but otherwise pretty darn good penetration depths. Now this is where we're going to have some fun. 5.7 is known for penetrating certain types of soft body armor, typically level 2, 2A, some level 3As that incorporate all 100% aramid or Kevlar fiber. That's normally the yellow stuff. A lot newer body armor incorporates what's known as ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene, or PE for short. It's typically the white material. I have an AR500 armor hybrid down there that's got, I think, 3 or 4 different types of materials that make it up, and what's nice about it is it has a V50, or it did, of 44 mag at 1650 feet per second, so that's 200 feet higher than the NIJ spec. So we'll take a shot from each barrel length and see if we can penetrate this panel. Well, the saying goes, when the panel doesn't jump, that's not a good sign for it. Our first shot was right there, and our second was right there. And this is the importance, folks, of why I use a chronograph whenever possible. This first shot had a higher velocity, and the second shot was, what, about 30 feet per second slower. And because of that, the bullet was actually stopped in our panel, but the first one at the higher velocity penetrated. We got about 7 inches of penetration out of that before it left the block. It's hard to say how much more we would get. We'll maybe try to take a shot off camera and see if we can get one at a higher velocity. I did bring a rigid PE panel, and I have a feeling that not even a 16-inch would penetrate that one. Well, would you look at that? We had a good shot in our gel. Penetration depths right around 12.5. That shot right down there, which is almost at 16, was an inch away from the first shot, so that's not really a fair hit when it comes to testing armor panels. But needless to say, with the ability to place fast follow-up shots with our 5.7, concentrated hits on most 3A is probably going to be very problematic for that particular panel to stop if that's a use case you are looking for. Here is our recovered round after penetrating our 3A. Nice mushroom over there. I have a feeling if I go to a rigid PE panel that round will get stopped because it lacks bullet construction, and a PE is known for stopping speed, so we'll leave the testing at that. Well, everyone, that wraps up another test out here at the range. I would say our AAC 40 grain full metal jacket did very well compared to other offerings that we've had for quite some time, including the American Eagle TMJ and the recently introduced Fiocchi 40 grain full metal jacket. We're seeing velocities up there with what we've seen with the AAC 40 grain VMAX, and for me, that's a good thing. Now, in the grand scheme of things, there are smaller loaders like Elite Ammunition, R&R Weapon Systems, or Vanguard Outfitters who are loading their 40 grain loads a little bit hotter than this. You know, typically 1900 to 1950 feet per second is about the comfortable max that you can load 5.7 for to be compatible with all the different platforms that have come out. Originally, when there was only the 5.7 and the P90, you only had to worry about those, and usually the 5.7 will handle loads a little hotter than the P90. That's what she said anyways. Our accuracy was right in line with everything that we normally test. We cap our accuracy for 5.7 at 25 yards because when we've gone out to 100, the groups just open up, and I don't think that, you know, it benefits us to waste a whole bunch of ammo out here trying to get the best group size at 100 yards. We had more than ample penetration in gel, although like I've mentioned before, I would prefer a longer tumbling bullet with, you know, that 16 to 18 inches of penetration, or an expanding or fragmenting round that reaches about the same. Given the increase in velocity, we were even able to penetrate a level 3A offering. Although, like I said, a lot of the NIJ testing is minimum standards, and no two companies build their plates the same, so your mileage may vary depending on what kind of 3A you are trying to penetrate. Reliability wise, no problems over 250 rounds, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to need a lot more downrange to make that call. Dear AAC, PSA, please send me more. With all that being said, it's time for me to get the heck out of here, but at the end of all my videos, I take a moment to thank all those who help make these possible, because there's a lot that goes into them. Number one is my Patreon and Subscribe Star fans. I have a link tree in the description below if you are looking to pick up some of that AAC ammunition. I can't put a link in the description, but if you send me a DM, I'll generate you one of those fancy affiliate tracking links that earns me a sales commission, and I use that commission to buy more of that ammunition. Number two is Jamin, Josiah, and the crew over at AAC and PSA, again, in full transparency, send us that ammunition with no strings attached. And of course, number three is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range.